Okay, so my project was the Lazy Susan. It's over there, if you want to take a look at it. So, back to my inspiration. I recently was, well, not recently, since the project began, I was trying to think of something that we could have at our table that held like all of our different sauces and spices, because my house is just a mess with all of our different things. And so I remembered going to a dim sum restaurant over the summer, and they have these like massive tables of you just order a bunch of dishes and then you can spin around the table and share everything. And I thought, oh, that's kind of a cool idea. And so that's kind of where I got my inspo. So my top 5 constraints were, the first thing was the aesthetic I was going for. So I was in between I can't really pronounce it, do you understand? And like a log cabin fancy look. And so this is kind of an example of the doucher work fun aesthetic. It's a very clean, classy, modern look. So that's kind of what I was going for. I also wanted it to have a good size based on the different spices we have. And then it had to spin, obviously, otherwise it's kind of pointless. And then the cost was definitely a constraint, because a lot of the things I realized I was going to have to be getting were kind of expensive. And then I wanted to incorporate flowers on it, which didn't happen because I kind of had a disaster, but I'll talk about that later. And so that was another constraint I had. So back to my prototype. We'll just run over it real quick. I had made 2 different wood structures. This one was a kind of a curved top, and then this was just a cut in the center to kind of keep everything inside of it. And then I also thought about making it just flat, because most of the ones in dim sum restaurants are just flat. So those were my 3 prototypes. I obviously ended up going with this design. I actually started out with this design, but I'll talk about that in a second. So the cost estimate I ended up spending was kind of expensive. It was about $60. The wood I got was expensive. I don't know, it's all Home Depot had. And then I actually ended up getting pre-cut wood after my first attempt. And then the wood stainer was a pretty nice wood stainer. And then I got a bucket because I decided I had a bunch of little things that it would be perfect for. And then the rotator that I used, I got from Target. And then brushes and paint. Okay, so my timeline was, I decided on the final design I was going to use, and then I carved out the design, and then I was going to stain the wood, and then attach the bucket to the wood, attach the wood to the turntable, and then decorate it with the flowers, and then add spices and... Hello? Always happens to me. Okay. So my first attempt, I carved out the wood so that it was kind of the raised prototype that you guys saw in the first picture. But I ended up having to scrap it because the way I cut it, the wood was too rough, and so when I stained it, it looked horrible and the colors were all off balance. And I tried to paint flowers on it and everything just looked horrible, and there was no way it was going to end up working. So this kind of gave me less time to figure out a different way I was going to cut the wood. So I ended up buying a pre-cut piece of wood and just staining that one, and it was obviously it's way smoother and looks a lot cleaner than before. I also canceled the flowers I was going to use because these were the flowers I was going for, like a Hawaiian flower, and I ended up canceling it because they looked horrible and it just didn't work, and it wasn't gonna really fit my aesthetic of the clean, classy, modern look if I kept it, so I decided to scrap it.
So how were you considering putting the flowers on in the first place?
I was painting them.
Okay.
Yeah, and then when I tried it with the first attempt, the wood was way too rough, and so the stain kind of didn't go on evenly, and the paint just looked awful. And then I realized I can't paint, so I scrapped the flowers.
It's a skill.
So just a quick overview of some of the tools I used. That sandpaper, a wood finish, and paintbrushes and glue. And that's my final product that I ended up going with. I actually really like how it turned out. It looks really clean and classy, and it's gonna look good on my table, so I'm excited about it. And then for future endeavors, I was thinking about different decorations I could put on it if I had more time, but then again, my house is kind of very plain, and so I don't know if it would fit with the whole aesthetic of my house. And then flowers, if I had more time to do like traces of flowers instead of just freehanding it. Also, after I did it, I was thinking I could make it probably a little bit bigger. I could have found a bigger size wood piece, but that's the size I went with. And then special thanks to Target, Michaels, and Home Depot for supplying me with everything I needed. And then questions.
When you said you broke it, was it like the wood piece that fell off, or was it the Lazy Susan that like kind of broke?
The wood, the first time I did it, the way I cut it, it kind of was a little bit brittle, and then when I put the bucket on it, it broke, and like I couldn't get anything to stay on it, and so that's why I kind of had to last minute just get different wood and go from there. So, but also, I don't know, it's like I might have picked the wrong type of glue because I had to go back and get a different type of glue too because nothing stayed. So,
What kind of glue did you end up with?
it was Gorilla Glue. Yeah.
Glue, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was super glue she ended up using.
Yeah, it was like a super glue Gorilla Glue.
Okay. I don't think those are the same.
Gorilla Glue is a brand, and they have all different types.
Yeah, and they have all different types of glue.
Yeah.
A super glue is generally one of those crack penetrating acrylic.
Like the really small.
Yeah, the kind you can actually like glue
Yeah.
your skin together with if you're not careful because it works on really small spaces. Is that what
I
you
think
ended
so.
up using?
I think it was a Gorilla Glue brand, but it was super glue. Yeah.
Okay. How much did it end up costing, the whole thing?
It was pretty expensive. Well, I don't know how much other people paid, but mine was probably like $60. Just for, I wanted a nice wood stain, and then the wood itself was kind of expensive because I wanted it to be like pretty good quality so that I can actually use it, and so it's not just
Yeah.
like an art project.
Yeah.
So it was kind of expensive, but
Do you have a budget sheet you can show us?
I had
Sorry, I got here late.
just an estimate.
And then that was your estimate. How did
Yeah.
that compare to what you actually spent?
It was like this. I guess it was the actual cost. It wasn't just an estimate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Had you projected this?
No, I definitely thought it was gonna be like probably 30 at the max. But since I had to go back and get more, it costed a lot more. But, yeah. And I can probably return the paint I brought because I only used a small, tiny amount of it. But that wasn't very expensive. So.
Can you return paint?
Oh, I didn't use all of it. Like I
Yeah.
didn't open all of it. I only
Oh,
opened. Yeah.
okay. All right.
I don't know if you can return paint. I know Home Depot has like a return policy that you could literally return a plant, but I didn't get the paint from Home Depot.
So it sounds like you were pretty happy with it overall.
Yeah.
That's good to hear, but based on some of the challenges and lessons learned, is there anything that you would do different? You touched on a couple things throughout, but if you were to sort of summarize those, is there anything else that you would consider now?
I wish I would have kind of practiced painting flowers more before instead of just kind of going for it, because it just kind of ended up being a disaster. And so I think that was definitely a regret, was just kind of going for it instead of more planning out everything, and then giving myself more time to like have, just in case something did go wrong, I wish I would have had more time to figure it out. But that's like basically it, probably.
I like the drawings you had. Were those yours, or is that an example from the web? Or
These,
yeah.
yeah, those were the flowers I was gonna do, like kind of like a Hawaiian flower. but it's a lot easier to draw than it is to paint.
So would there be some mechanical way to transfer from a sketch to your final device?
Well, actually, last time I presented, they were like, you guys should maybe laser cut it. I just didn't have time to figure out how to do all of that, but I could definitely do that next time.
You
Before
could
I
also
stain
maybe
wood.
consider what do you call it? Pattern cut out, and then you paint over.
Yeah.
What's called
A stencil.
stencil.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I would think this kind of a design would work well with the stencil.
Yeah. Jake?
I would kind of suggest maybe a paint pen would be an easy way to do it.
Or like one of those metallic pens. Yeah.
Yeah, that way you could, at least you could kind of paint out the outside of it
Yeah.
with the pen and then use a brush to fill it in.
I actually have a bunch of those. I could probably do that before Expo. I just don't want to ruin it again.
Yeah, you
Could,
can try it on something, just like a block of wood,
Yeah.
smear it, with like
Yeah,
a paper
good
towel with the
practicing.
stain to sort
Yeah.
of get it like the same texture, and then just see what works.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, chuck it.
Scrap it.
I would think you could also very lightly with pencil get an outline that you
Yeah.
like, and then go over it with a pen.
Yeah. Like a paint pen. Yeah.
So, really cool how it turned out. I like that it's a small size because you mentioned that the inspiration was dim sum.
Yeah.
So you can imagine if you had a really large turntable,
Mhm.
the center of it would be less accessible
Yeah.
to people at the edge of the table. If you had a couple of these on the table,
Mhm.
it'd really allow you to get a lot on there.
Yeah.
So really cool how it came out.
If you were to sell it, what would you sell it for?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably $20.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll buy it. I have a clump of condiments sitting on my
Yeah.
counter, and
Yeah.
it would be nice if it was on a lazy Susan.
Oh, that's so flattering. I could make you another one.
With real flowers.
Yes,
Yeah.
Deal.
I was actually thinking about, I got a rose. I guess it's like Barcelonian Valentine's Day, and so they're passing out roses. I was like, I wonder if I could put it on there, but I don't know.
Another thing you can do is like take something low profile and then like laminate it on,
Mhm.
like
Can I
a
see it? Okay.
tin foil or a leaf, or even just like a cutout,
Yeah.
and then you can take a clear coat and just like smear it on.
Okay. Like,
And then the artwork is
Yeah.
more like the craft element, not
like
the
Mod Podge kind
you
of?
drawing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of similar.
Oh, interesting.
Are you happy with the texture?
I tried really hard to find like the smoothest way I could, and I kind of wanted it to be more like a actual glossy look, but I mean,
I think maybe a urethane finish
yeah.
can be really durable and very smooth.
Is that like gloss?
It's gloss. It's
Okay.
a type of gloss.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's what you think of with like furniture. If you saw that in a store, it's sort of like the clear coat finish that goes on the outside,
Okay.
Yeah.
and because it won't mess with the stain.
It won't hurt the
No, it would be clear and it would be smooth and be easy to
Yeah.
clean because condiments are always sticky and messy,
Yeah.
and I would want something that I could wipe easily.
Yeah. Also, going off the stain, I wish I would have gotten like a scrap piece of wood and practiced with that first, because
Mm-hmm.
it looked horrible the first time. I didn't know you have to like actually layer it on evenly. I don't know what I was thinking.
You learned a lot about finishes.
Yeah.
Okay. I like the finish actually.
Yeah.
I like the slightly rustic look and the cute little bucket.
Thank you. Anything else from anyone?
Well done. I think that these projects are always, it's a process more than just a product.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you endured some of that. Good work. Thank you.
Thanks.